Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, Speaker of the House of Representatives. Our guests of honor and the chief host of this event, Alhaji Mohammed Ataba Sani Omolori, Chiroman Ebira, the clerk to the National Assembly. A special guest, the chairman of the Independence National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, principal officers of the National Assembly present, distinguished senators and senators-elect, honorable members, members-elect.
This is the Nigerian Television Authority reaching you live from the Congress Hall of Transcorp Hotel here in Abuja to broadcast to you live the dinner organized in honor of senators and House of Representatives members-elect of the 9th Assembly. Now, this program is to bring to an end the 2 weeks long orientation program that has been ongoing for the newly elected lawmakers. The distinguished senators and members-elect are already seated. The special guest of honor of the occasion, Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, is also seated. Also present at this occasion is the clerk to the National Assembly, Mohammed Ataba Sani Omolori.
And what is expected of you as
I am Lami Ali, thanking you for joining us.
It is at the instance of the chief host and the management of the National Assembly that we host this event this evening. And because it's been quite tasking on all of you members, senators and members-elect, it is time to unwind, dine, dance, and of course, cross-fertilize ideas and make new friends amongst the serving senators and the members of the House of Representatives that are also returning. It is in the light of this that we'd like to get this event underway in earnest as we welcome to the microphone the chief host of this event, clerk to the National Assembly, Alhaji Mohammed Ataba Sani Omolori Chiroman Ebira, the big mountain, for the formal welcome to this event. Can we please give him a resounding applause as he comes forward?
Now, this dinner is being organized by the National Assembly, facilitated by the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, and supported by the United Kingdom Agency for International Development.
Excellency, the Deputy Senate President, who I understand is on his way, principal officers of the National Assembly here present, distinguished senators, honorable members, distinguished senators-elect and honorable members-elect of the 9th National Assembly, Senior Special Assistant to the President of National Assembly Matters, members of the Diplomatic Corps. Let me especially recognize the Executive Chairman of INEC. May I also especially recognize my bosses that are here present, the former clerks of the National Assembly. As always, they are here in their good number. Let me recognize the Executive Chairman of PLAC, our co-sponsor, the head of the DFID office in Nigeria, top management and management staff of National Assembly here present. Let me also recognize the Planning Committee and the lead consultant and his group, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome all of you to the closing ceremony of the orientation program for members-elect of the 9th National Assembly. The high turnover of legislators after every election cycle underscores the need for an induction program of this nature. Coming from a wide range of disciplines, background, experiences, and diverse skill set, capacity development, particularly in core areas of legislative practice and procedure for members, you will agree is of high imperative. Due to the dynamic nature of developments in democratic practices, it is important that legislators continue to update their skill and improve their capacity. It is because of this dynamism that makes it imperative for members to acquaint themselves with best practices in legislative conducts in order to develop policy solutions, predict consequences, and influence government decision-making. I have no doubt in my mind that the last 9 days have been particularly exciting and rewarding through the various presentations, which no doubt give members inklings as to what they should expect in the next 4 years. The deliveries of the presentations have been spot on and elucidating. I therefore wish to applaud our resource persons for the time and effort they put in preparing and delivering their papers. It is my sincere hope that the presentations have improved your knowledge, skills, and abilities towards effective performance of your legislative functions. It is noteworthy to note that attendance of members in this orientation program has been most encouraging and has surpassed all previous programs. Indeed, I am proud to reveal that senators and members have shown tremendous enthusiasm in the program, and this is very encouraging. Statistically, I am happy to report that out of 109 senators and 360 members elect, 102 senators and 348 members elect attended the program. As a matter of fact, I can reveal that even those who are not here may have had 1 or 2 inconclusive election issues to attend to. Your active participation and useful contributions enrich the overall quality of the program. I wish to sincerely thank and commend you for this. Now, without sounding immodest, the positive feedback we have received so far is indicative of the fact that the program has been adjudged a success. This would not have been achievable without the guidance, support, and cooperation of the leadership of the 8th National Assembly. Accordingly, once again, I wish to extend my special gratitude to the President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Dr. Bukola Saraki, and of course, the Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, and all the principal officers of both chambers. During the program, several members-elect harped on the imperative of making capacity building for legislators a continuous exercise. I wish to assure you that the management of the National Assembly, in concert with the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, will deepen training and retraining of members of the 9th Assembly within budgetary means. Towards this end, I'm happy to inform you that the management has already contacted the Secretariat of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, in London to design a tailor-made post-election seminar for you. It is hoped that this exercise will take place shortly after your inauguration. I wish to specially recognize the chairman and members of the Central Planning Committee of the Orientation Program. Your work has been hard, painstaking, and tireless. Through your activities, the various subcommittees and the support staff, you have delivered a smooth and successful program. Please accept my sincere gratitude. My sincere thanks also go to the lead consultant for the Orientation Program, Capital Communications Limited, under the leadership of Alhaji Mohammed Kabiru Badamasiu. They have provided both technical and administrative support to the Planning Committee. I acknowledge their technical and analytical expertise, which has no doubt improved the quality of presentation and the general organization and conduct of the program. Let me seize this opportunity to once again thank our partners, the Department for Information, International Development, DFID, United Kingdom, Policy and Legal Advocacy Care Plaque, and in particular their Executive Chairman, Dr. Nwakwo, for their invaluable support as always. We look forward to opportunities for greater collaboration in the 9th Assembly, particularly in the strengthening committees and processes in the National Assembly. May I also recognize with gratitude the invaluable contribution of our friends in the media, the electronic, print, and online. Their coverage of the program has been very professional and commendable. I want to particularly thank very profusely my bosses, the former CNAs, for continuously identifying with our programs and events. I'm proud that you all had maintained these contacts, more so that I passed through your individual tutelage. Thank you very much, sirs. In conclusion, I wish to reiterate that capacity building for legislators is high on the agenda of National Assembly management. Subject to the availability of funds, we shall mount several continuous training and retraining exercises aimed at strengthening your capacity in the core areas of your responsibilities. As I look forward to future positive engagements, I count on your understanding, patience, and cooperation. Thank you all, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, the clerk to the National Assembly, and the Chief Administrative Officer of the National Assembly, and #1 legislative officer in Nigeria. Let's put our hands together once more for Alhaji Mohammed Ataba Sani Omolori,
the clerk to the National Assembly,
so very much,
with an opening address.
Your Excellency, the Speaker of the House
now,
of Representatives of the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
told us that the dinner is to close the 2 weeks-long capacity-building program for the lawmakers, especially those coming to the National Assembly for the first time, as distinguished and honorable members of the 9th Assembly, which is expected to take off in June.
Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, for his goodwill message. Professor, please. As he steps onto the podium, let me apologize to some members who have sent their names. In due course, we shall be recognizing you, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, distinguished senators, honorable members of the House of Representatives, the clerk to the National Assembly, former clerks to the National Assembly, principal officers of the National Assembly, development partners, friends and family members of distinguished members of the National Assembly, distinguished senators, honorable members of the House, all invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I actually did not expect that I was going to speak. For that reason, I didn't prepare at all. But I'm also aware that this is a happy occasion, a dinner to mark the end of a very enriching induction course for members of the National Assembly. So let me start, and I must say that I hope you'll not find the joke dry, but let me start by cracking a joke on this very important occasion. In the kind of job that we do in INEC, we compare notes with our colleagues, heads of election management bodies from other parts of the world, particularly Africa. And one day I had a chance meeting with the former chairman of the Kenya Electoral Commission, the IEBC. And he said, how is the situation in Nigeria? I said, fine. What about Kenya? Oh, I will tell you in the corridor. So during tea break, he told me that shortly after he was appointed chairperson of the Electoral Commission, he was almost always sick. Because every morning he will watch the morning talk shows on television and he will read the newspapers. And they were very challenging times for him. So one day he visited his doctor and complained. The doctor examined him. He said, as your doctor, I know that there is nothing clinically wrong with you, but you have to find a way of managing two things. He said, first, the stress of the office, and secondly, your own health, unless you want to be a martyr to Kenyan democracy. So he said one day, somebody appeared on television, one of the candidates, and he criticized the Electoral Commission, that the election was going to be rigged even before the first ballot was cast. He ignored him. The election was conducted, and that particular candidate won the election. So they had a chance meeting after the election. Immediately, Soimi approached him and said, oh, my friend, but the former chairman of the IEBC gave him a cold shoulder. He said, are we no longer friends? He said, not after what you said about me on television. He said, Chairman, you are listening to me too much. I was not addressing you, I was addressing my supporters. So that in case we lose the election, we now have a reason for our loss in the election. He said, now that you have won, he said, Chairman, you are only doing your job. Something similar happened in Nigeria in one of the first elections we conducted when I was barely 2 weeks in office. It was a governorship election. The candidate of one of the parties went to vote. Unfortunately, the card reader couldn't pick his biometrics at first attempt. Not second attempt. The third attempt, the card reader worked. He went and voted. His wife, standing behind him, had no problem whatsoever. She voted seamlessly. Immediately he voted, he turned to the television cameras and abused the hell out of INEC. That the INEC was creating the impression that we're a nation of scammers. This machine is not working, but you insist on using the machine. I was watching him. We just ignored him. We don't respond to this kind of issues. We concluded the election, and perhaps to his surprise, he was declared winner. After signing the certificate, a commissioner from the commission went to present in our office at the state capital. And I watched the event live on television. He invited every important person in his constituency. And immediately he grabbed the certificate, he grabbed the microphone. And the first thing he said is that the best thing that ever happened to our election is the card reader. He said, whatever its imperfections, we'll work with INEC and improve it. I think we have had a worthy, very exciting, enriching working relationship with all parties and all political actors. But distinguished senators, honorable members, the campaigns are over. Elections are over. Certificates of return signed and delivered. You have done the induction course. Next is work. But unfortunately, there is no time. So we have to hit the ground running immediately after your inauguration. Election is a legal process, obviously governed by law. One of the first things that we need to look at will be the electoral legal environment. And I said so on the occasion of the presentation of certificates of return to all of you. We have had a good working relationship with members of the 8th Assembly, and among them, among you are some of the members of the 8th Assembly coming back to the 9th, and some going from the House of Representatives to the Senate, and some coming back after 4 years sabbatical. 4 years are just like 4 days. We simply have no time. We have to start work on the electoral legal environment immediately. The Constitution has donated powers to you, members of the National Assembly, to amend the Constitution and to make subsidiary laws. And you have in turn conferred powers on the Commission under the Electoral Act to come up with regulations and guidelines for the conduct of elections. The Constitution cannot be expected to say everything. The Electoral Act cannot be expected to say everything. Our guidelines and regulations cannot be expected to say everything. And we came face to face with this reality in November 2016. I will not forget this for the rest of my life, when a candidate died between the commencement of poll and the declaration of winner. Never envisaged, never contemplated, never provided for under the Constitution, not under the Electoral Act, not in our guidelines or regulations. We used the most proximate section of the Electoral Act to solve that conundrum. And the matter went up to the Supreme Court. And in determining the case before it, the Supreme Court said we were right in using the most proximate section of the Electoral Act out of that conundrum, because it would have been unfair on the National Assembly to expect it to make laws for the present and the future. It's simply impossible. But we have had experience in conducting several elections, the last one in particular, and there are so many areas that we need to look at. We need to review and to reform. I said we have no time. I'm aware that between now and the 2023 general elections is exactly 1,394 days. But I hope distinguished senators and honorable members are not saying that the chairman of INEC should not remind us about the end of our tenure even before it begins. But that is the reality. So just like the 8th Assembly, we look forward to working with distinguished senators and members of the National Assembly. One of the things that we enjoyed most in our relationship with the 8th National Assembly is where issues arose. They could invite the Commission to brainstorm, not necessarily in the context of public hearing for bills or the defense of budgets or defense of expenditure. It's very, very, very important that we do so. So I want to congratulate you, distinguished senators, honorable members, and I look forward to a robust working relationship with the 9th National Assembly. I thank you very much.
That's the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, and Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, with words of advice to newly elected lawmakers that would make up the 9th Assembly on how they can fine-tune our laws to improve the electoral process.
There's a lot of wisdom. It was the same kind of wisdom that a man somewhere in Plateau State applied in determining who was doing something wrong in his house. Because of the coldness and the cold weather in Jos, each time the man is leaving home for work, he would sip. He really doesn't drink. He doesn't indulge in alcohol that much. But of course, it takes a shot of whiskey just to warm his body up. And he goes to work. The wife doesn't drink, and he has only one son. So each time he comes back home, the bottle of whiskey that he just opened fresh has gone down midway. And he says, but my wife doesn't drink. So John, who could be taking my whiskey? But Daddy, you know I'm a small boy, I don't drink. This went on and on and on, and he got tired, and the next day he came back and says, John, this whiskey is almost finished. Someone must be drinking this whiskey. So go get me earthworm And the boy gladly went outside, got an earthworm, and brought it to the father. Kept 2 glass cups on a table, one containing water, one containing whiskey. And he dropped the earthworm in the glass with water, and the earthworm was swimming happily. And then he dropped another earthworm in the one containing whiskey, and that one died instantly. And he says, John, from this experiment, what lessons have you learned? And I said, Dad, I just realized that the more water I drink, the more hookworms will swim happily in my stomach. But the more whiskey I drink, the more the hookworms will die. The father now said, oh, I know who has been drinking my whiskey. It entails a lot of wisdom. I think Professor Yakub deserves another big round of applause. Thank you so very much. It is at this point that I crave an indulgence to recognize one of our sponsors. Debbie Palmer is the head of DFID in Nigeria. We'd like to welcome Debbie Palmer with a round of applause, please. She's giving us her goodwill message. While she's coming up, let me recognize John Primrose, Deputy Head of DFID. We'd like to appreciate you. Thank you for coming. Please, a warm round of applause for Debbie. Debbie, please.
Thank you very much. Honourable Speaker, distinguished senators, honourable members, Clerk of the National Assembly, ladies and gentlemen. It's a huge pleasure to be with you here this evening, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to spend a few minutes reflecting on the value of this event and how proud I am that the UK government is supporting it. Let me begin by congratulating you all on your success at the ballot box recently. Although there were clear challenges with the election process, the important thing now is for Nigeria to unite and work together to tackle the key challenges that face this nation. I'm delighted to be having the opportunity this evening to be here with you, celebrating your successes. And it's great to hear of the programme of activities you've been having over these days in order to induct you into the ways of the House and how you can make a fantastic impact during your time in the Assembly. Of course, this success brings with it considerable responsibility, as I'm sure that you're all aware. Parliamentarians have a critical role to play in holding the executive to account, as well as passing legislation and progressing national development priorities, in order that Nigeria can move forward to become an even more prosperous nation for all. So you have a very broad, very important responsibility to the Nigerian people who elected you in order that you work for their interests to promote national unity. I consider this to be a collective responsibility of all Nigerians' leaders, especially those of you that will sit in the Assembly, irrespective of your party affiliations or your history to this date. Parliaments the world over are a critical accountability institution with a significant role to play in driving forward national development. Nigeria has huge potential, but also significant development challenges. As we all know, Nigeria, according to some estimates, has 87 million people living in poverty, perhaps the highest number of any nation on earth. We know that the under 5 death rate is possibly the highest of any nation on earth. Nigeria has the highest number of children who are out of school and being denied their education. And there are many other statistics which could lead us all to be very gloomy. But I'm not gloomy this evening because this is a nation of great entrepreneurialism, great spirit, great courage and great commitment to work towards a better future. And as the collective political leadership of this nation, you will play an enormous part in driving forward Nigeria to its future economic and social success. With such an important mandate, good orientation is essential to help newly elected members work out quickly what they need to do to make their constituents' voices heard and make a sustainable impact in the lives of ordinary people. This event this week seems to be incredibly important for simply accelerating the pace at which people can really get to grips with their new role and be as impactful and powerful as possible in the interests that they want to serve. I'm therefore incredibly proud that the British government, through UK Aid, is supporting the Policy and Legal Advocacy Centre, PLAC, to run this course. I'm particularly proud of the long partnership that the UK has had with PLAC to help strengthen the National Assembly over many years. I'm delighted that through PLAC, the UK was able to support both houses develop complementary legislative agendas at the inception of the 8th National Assembly. This helped ensure a really productive period of office, which included new legislation on the ease of doing business and on transparency in government. We've seen progress on the Competition Bill, on the Companied and Allied Matters Act, and indeed on the Audit Bill, which is very nearly and hopefully going to be signed off. There is also new legislation to support the rights of the most vulnerable in Nigerian society through the passing of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Act of 2018. That's a piece of legislation which my organisation has been working and supporting for 18 years, with a whole load of incredibly impressive disability campaigners across the length and breadth of this party. And I feel genuinely proud that the National Assembly, the 8th National Assembly, was able to pass it. I'm particularly proud that UK funding has enabled PLAC to support the National Assembly work on constitutional reform. A range of successes have flowed from this, including the successes of the Not Too Young to Run bill, which of course has enabled some of you to take office, as well as legislation to establish the financial autonomy of state governments. Again, one of perhaps a really fundamental benchmark underpinning democracy and its development. The UK is also proud through PLAC to have supported work on the Electoral Amendment Bill, and I'd like to echo the call of the Professor Yakubu from INEC on the importance of this work. Although the President has declined to assent it due to the proximity to the elections just passed, we very much hope that there'll be time to look at it again before the 8th Assembly concludes. And as I said, I would stand with my colleague to say that it's an incredibly important piece of legislation for the well-being and the democracy of this country. Finally, I want to highlight the UK support for PLAC's work with the National Assembly on the police bill. The 8th Assembly engaged very seriously on this issue and came closer than perhaps at any other time in Nigeria's history since independence to enacting a new police law. So I very, very much hope that the 9th Assembly and all of you will be able to update the existing law, which was enacted in 1943. And in my humble opinion, Nigeria could do with some more up-to-date police legislation. To conclude, the National Assembly has a really critical role to play in Nigeria's development and in solving its challenges. And looking out at all of you this evening, you are the fresh faces, you are the people who will determine the success of the 9th Assembly. I hope that as you take your seats in your respective chambers for the first time, you will keep in mind the millions of Nigerian citizens who elected you in the hope of a brighter future. I hope you will be able to establish a constructive dialogue with the executive, while of course, very importantly, preserving your independence in order to scrutinise their actions and hold them firmly to account. And I hope sincerely that the 9th Assembly will be able to build on the successes of the 8th Assembly and prove even more productive than its predecessor. I wish you all the very best of luck in your endeavours.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, the head of DFID in Nigeria, Debbie Palmer. Thank you very much for the insight and for your comments. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, distinguished senators elect, honorable members elect, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me warmly welcome His Excellency Dr. Ike Ekweremadu, the Deputy President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause, please. Thank you very much, and you're welcome, sir. Your Excellencies, distinguished senators, honorable members, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, next to speak is the Executive Director, Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, Mr. Clement Wonko. Mr. Clement Wonko, the mic is yours, please. Thank you.
The Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Deputy Senate President, distinguished senators, honorable members, Clerk of the National Assembly, ladies and gentlemen, very delighted to be here this evening and privileged to be speaking at this very important event, which is the induction dinner for newly elected members of the National Assembly. The speaker before me, the head of DFID, had said very, very important issues regarding the work that PLAC and DFID has been doing in support of the legislative work going on in the National Assembly. And I would like to say that we are very delighted that a lot has been going on in terms of legislation and what has been going on with the National Assembly looking towards developing the country. The National Assembly has a very critical role to play, critical role in representing citizens, critical role in oversighting the executive, and of course the very critical role of lawmaking. And as the 9th Assembly sets to come in, there are several outstanding issues. Debbie had mentioned the police bill, which we hope the 8th National Assembly will pass actually before it winds down and that the President will assent to the bill. But we also know that there are several unresolved issues, and in the work that PLAC has been doing with the National Assembly, with the collaboration of the National Assembly, a lot has focused on collaboration with National Assembly to address citizens' needs and demands, and expectations on members of the National Assembly for the 8th Assembly runs really, really high. Those expectations need to respond to demands that citizens have for improved living conditions. And most of the indices coming up at this time is pointing downwards in terms of our ability to deal with several developmental challenges that this country is facing. The challenges of poverty, the challenge of development, the challenge of insecurity. So there's a lot of responsibility on the National Assembly to address several of these issues. The chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, has made very important comments about the electoral legal framework for Nigeria. The last amendments that the National Assembly addressed were not assented to by the President. But clearly, the challenges that we faced with the recent elections, the flaws that we saw with the recent elections, means that there is indeed an additional work to be done. And I think that as we settle down to take lessons from the challenges with the last elections, those lessons will be lessons that will indicate for us a way to go forward in terms of improving our electoral legal framework, the electoral environment. Of course, you can legislate certain things, but of course, a whole lot cannot be legislated. And I think that looking towards elections, if we do not improve on what happened with the 2019 elections, it will certainly, looking towards 2023, be a huge challenge for us politically. So I think the responsibility on the National Assembly to address the electoral environment becomes really urgent and important. And we might think we have a lot of time. The INEC chairman has actually told us it's 1,394 days. But it comes really quickly. It comes really, really quickly, I tell you. And I think that if we do settle into the National Assembly, the 9th National Assembly, it will be really, really critical for the 9th National Assembly to commit to a review of the electoral legal framework within a very short time frame so that this country can say that we do have an election legal environment that we can all be very proud of. On behalf of PLAC, I would like to say thank you to the management of the National Assembly for working and collaborating with us in the work that we are doing in the National Assembly, and as well the leadership of the National Assembly. We have worked very, very well with the leadership of the National Assembly. The Speaker is here. The Senate President, the Deputy Senate President is here as well, who is one of the best authorities on constitutional review in this country. We know that there's a lot to do in terms of addressing several of the issues that have not been addressed with amendments that have been made. And on behalf of PLAC, I would like to say that we look forward to continue to work with the National Assembly in addressing several of the issues that the National Assembly identifies, and with Lutang DFID, the British Department for International Development, for supporting the work and working with us in the work that we are doing with the National Assembly. Again, congratulations to all of the members who have been elected into the Senate and the House of Representatives. We look forward to working with you in the 9th National Assembly. Thank you so much.
sir. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a friend of mine owns a trailer. And he drives this trailer from Sokoto, carrying cattle to Benin City. And as he left Sokoto, he got to Gusau. There was a police checkpoint. They demanded for his particulars. He tendered them. They said he was correct. He moved on like that till he got to Okpela Cement Factory in Edo State. And the policemen, the crop of policemen in Edo State are a different crop of policemen. And they demanded for his particulars. The man brought out the papers and handed them over to the police. They perused these particulars left, right, and center and told him to come down, that his particulars were not correct. My friend looked at him. Instead of coming down from his vehicle, he handed down a biro to the policeman. And the policeman in turn says, I'm telling you that your particulars are not correct. You're giving me your biro. What do you want me to do with it? And the man said, Tobakachi, your particular is not correct, ba? Na baru Sokoto na shiga Gusau particular is correct. Na baru Gusau na shiga Puntua, Zaria, Kaduda, har na wuce Suleja, Gwagwalada, har na shiga Okene particular is correct. I reach Ampo Edo, particular is not correct, to take the biro and correct the particulars for me. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I at this juncture invite the National Council for Arts and Culture to please come and show us their particulars. Can we welcome them, please, with a round of applause? 5 minutes.
Listen to me, my dear friends. Listen eagerly to the tale I have come to tell. In the land where I come from, people talk, yes, and so do animals. Oh, but none talks as sweetly, as sonorously as the talking drum. Yes, allow me to introduce to you Ayan Shola, the master drummer himself, as he now speaks to us in our own indigenous language. Oh, Wanila Ngbe Laruge. Oh, Wanila Ngbe Laruge. Eba Wagbe Nigeria Laruge. Eba Wagbe Ashawa Laruge. Oh, Wanila Ngbe Laruge. Oh, Wanila Ngbe Laruge. Eba Wagbe Nigeria Laruge. Ṣe pé mi ni wọ́n ní. Màá fapájọ́. Tó bá ṣe pé mi ni wọ́n ní. Màá fẹsẹ̀ jó. Tó bá ṣe pé mi ni wọ́n ní. He speaks English. My people, my people. My people, my people. You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome, you distinguished senators and honorable members. Whether you came by air or you came by land, you are welcome to share in the dreams of this great country. If only you believe that milk and honey are products of hard work. Ayon says you are welcome. The drum says I should tell you you are welcome. Only if you believe that our great country, Nigeria, could be much better. You are welcome. He says celebration is good. And you says I should tell you that celebration is good. But the load is heavy. The load is heavy. Put your heads together. Put your heads together. Nigeria ga. Iṣẹ́ maya o, iṣẹ́ maya o. Iṣẹ́ maya o, iṣẹ́ tiya o. Ká fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ gbé Nàìjíríà ga. Ká fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ gbé Nàìjíríà ga. Iṣẹ́ maya o, iṣẹ́ tiya o. Iṣẹ́ maya o, iṣẹ́ maya o. This Nigeria now we own. Make no popular. To be like our own. Oh, sweet home. Make we join hands to lift them up. Lift, make I live.
Thank you very much indeed. Let it resonate around the world. If we're able to put our hands together, join our hands together, Nigeria will be greater. And I think that is a task upon your shoulders right now as members of the National Assembly elect. Please put your hands together, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for yourselves this evening. And in moving on, Your Excellencies, permit me to stand on the already established protocol as I make bold to invite a man who has been around, and of course he's also held sway as the Deputy President of the Senate for 3 consecutive times and still counting. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming to the podium for his remarks Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Professor Ike Ekweremadu, CFR, PhD, Deputy President of the Senate. Please join me in welcoming him with a loud applause, please.
I believe I've made statement with my dress. Where's my glasses? My glasses. Excellency, my brother and friend, the Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, my dear colleagues, distinguished senators, honorable members-elect, the Chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, the Clerk of the National Assembly, the Head of DFID, my friend and brother Clement Nwankwo Plaque, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, former clerks of National Assembly here present, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press. I join the organizers in welcoming each and every one of us to this evening event. It has been my pleasure participating in this orientation program for the 9th National Assembly members-elect. I also count it an honor to be given the opportunity to say a few words at this closing ceremony. Distinguished senators, honorable members-elect, permit me to start by appreciating the management and indeed the leadership of the National Assembly for putting this program together. The legislature is a peculiar and at least developed arm of government in Nigeria due to our history of protracted military rule. We are just beginning to build experience in the legislature, virtually learning on the job. Even if you were a professor of law or political science at the time of your election, you would likely see a whole world of difference between theory and practice when you get down to the business at the National Assembly. Again, irrespective of how long you have served in legislature, you will find out that it is like a lifelong learning because democracy and institutions of parliament are indeed dynamic. They continue to evolve and grow up new challenges and throw up new challenges, knowledge and ways of doing things. So I'm quite happy that members-elect have been imbued with global best legislative practices over the past few weeks in preparation for the task ahead. Furthermore, the orientation program has afforded us the opportunity to interact, familiarize, and share ideas ahead of our inauguration. The National Assembly is a microcosm of Nigeria. Therefore, bringing all of us together across ethnic, religious, and regional and political divides has no doubt helped us to better appreciate our diversities and peculiar challenges faced by our various constituencies. After election comes the onerous business of governance. We made it to the National Assembly thanks to the privilege given to us by our various parties to fly their flags. Yet, it gladdens the heart that members-elect of the 9th National Assembly are also aware that once sworn in as distinguished senators and honorable members of the House of Representatives of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we are bound by our oath of office and House rules to always act in the overall interest of the sovereignty, integrity, solidarity, well-being, and prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are bound by these instruments to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Dear colleagues, I'm greatly encouraged by enthusiasm and determination of distinguished senators and honorable members-elect to rise above narrow politics. We may all have come from different vehicles as represented by our various parties, but poverty and hunger faced by the masses of Nigerians have no political party. We may profess different religions, but insecurity taking high tolls on our people have no religion. Therefore, it is imperative and we're indeed inclined to work as a team for the peace, justice, equity, and national prosperity, irrespective of political leaning and our diversities. Ours is a call to service, a call to deliver democracy dividends, a call to meet the expectations of our people, and a call to ensure that the government of Nigeria works for the people of Nigeria. Working together and depending on God's grace, I have no doubt whatsoever that we will deliver on our mandates. And I believe that the two areas of focus for us in the 9th Assembly should be the issue of electoral reforms. Yes, since 2010, we've made progress in the electoral reforms and have done so well. But I believe that the last election throws up new challenges that we must all address together with the Independent Electoral Commission. The other one is the issue of insecurity. The insecurity today in the country calls for national attention. and for dedication. And this dedication have no boundaries, irrespective of political party, your ethnicity, or your religion. So for us, yes, people of Nigeria expect that we should be able to deal with these issues together with the executive. And I believe that we can do that. So dear colleagues, once again, I congratulate you all on your elections to the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and on your successful completion of this orientation program. I wish you all memorable and impactful tenure and thank the clerk of the National Assembly and his team for a well-organized program. God bless you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you so very much, distinguished Senator Professor Ike Ikoromadu, the Deputy President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let's put our hands together once more for the distinguished Senator. Thank you very much, Deputy President of the Senate. And Your Excellencies, distinguished Senators, elect honorable members, elect distinguished ladies and gentlemen. At this point in time, it is my singular honor and privilege to invite a man with abiding faith and commitment to the ideals and values of the institution of the Parliament, a visionary leader, a man who radiates wisdom and knowledge each time he speaks. He is none other than the Speaker, the speaking Speaker, His Excellency, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara.
Thank you. Our leader, the Deputy Senate President, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Ike Ikoromadu, my colleagues, members of the Senate and House of Representatives elect, clerk to the National Assembly, Mr. Sani Mohammed Tabo Muluri, the chairman of INEC, my own brother, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. I see you laughing. Is it in disputation? Former clerks to the National Assembly, a special assistant to the President, National Assembly, Senate, our own brother too, ambassador now in the executive, Senator Ita, the chairman of the Public Complaints Commission, our own ambassador too, a former colleague in the House of Representatives, Barrister Chile Bawa, former clerks to the National Assembly, senior National Assembly members, the executive director, clerk, Dr. Clement Wonko, the representative of DFID spoke to us earlier on, and other representatives of development partners, members of the press, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First of all, permit me to once again congratulate us. I was here on the very first day we kick-started the orientation. I chaired the session, and I'd offered my congratulations. But I remember that that session was not as full as today. So I want to repeat that to congratulate us all over a very difficult election that all of us passed through. The chairman of INEC is here, so I'll not talk much about the election. You can't dishonor your guests. So, honorable colleagues, I intend to keep my intervention very, very short because I understand this is supposed to be a dinner event. And if we're waiting for food that is getting cold, normally our ears too grow cold. And so I'll leave my intervention very short. But let me remind us that very soon, after the completion of this orientation program, we are going to take an oath of office individually. And by that, we shouldn't deceive ourselves that we are getting inducted into an exclusive club of some elites in this country, but we're merely ambassadors of our different constituencies and by extension, the nation Nigeria. And no ambassador brings dishonor to his home country. Those that are served in embassies know that one very well. If you bring dishonor to your home government, the remedy is for you to be recalled back home. And we hope that we will not bring dishonor. But of course, we are elected at a very, very challenging times. Some of these challenges have been amply outlined for us to see here. But above all, we should know that these are days really that tries the hearts of men and women these days. You can't talk about men alone. At least I am charged for being a chauvinist. So these are days that try the heart of men